All the Lonely People, May 11, 2018. It started with a post on LinkedIn that caught my attention. It read, nearly half of respondents to a nationwide survey by health insurer Cigna say they always or sometimes feel alone, and 54% say they feel no one knows them well. Such loneliness is connected to an increased risk of heart disease, stroke, and premature death. The numbers struck me, but the real question lingered: why? I read the entire Cigna survey, which was packed with statistics, health warnings, and expert analysis. It pointed out the obvious: a lack of companionship, meaningless relationships, and isolation. But no real answers. The bigger question is, why do people feel left out, disconnected, and isolated? A changing world. When Robert, Maria, and I were kids, things were different. Our neighborhood streets were alive with a diverse mix of children, each bringing their own culture and energy to the games we played. We ran through the streets, playing touch football between telephone poles. Kids like Sam, Tony, Malik, and Javier crafted makeshift basketball hoops, while the girls, Lisa, Michelle, Carla, Aisha, and Rosa, jumped rope and played double dutch on the sidewalk. The laughter, the shouts of friendly competition, and the occasional disagreement over game rules made our world feel vibrant and whole. We learned resilience when we lost, camaraderie when we won, and the value of teamwork, even in the simplest of games. There was no need for planned activities or supervised playdates. We found our own ways to connect, bond, and belong. The beauty of our childhood was in its spontaneity and inclusivity. No matter where you came from, the games we played had a way of leveling the playing field. It didn't matter if you spoke a different language at home or celebrated different holidays. On the blacktop, we were all just kids, running, playing, and learning about life together. But then, something changed. It wasn't immediate, but a slow shift in the late 70s and early 80s. Fear began to take hold of our parents, fear of strangers, fear of danger lurking around the corner. The streets that had once been our playgrounds began to empty. Organized activities took over, and while we were kept physically safe, we lost something essential: the natural, unstructured, diverse friendships that formed in those carefree days of play. Gone were the days of spontaneously picking teams, of making tough decisions about who would play and who had to sit out. The disappearance of unstructured play. Sure, sometimes kids like Tommy didn't get picked, and yes, it stung. But learning to lose was part of life. It motivated you to try harder next time. I remember being overlooked, and it forced me to find what I was good at, to practice, to get better. Instead, we bubble-wrapped childhood, organizing it to the point of sterility. Playdates replaced friendships forged on the blacktop. Sports leagues took over for informal backyard games. And while we kept our children physically safe, we stripped them of the chance to develop essential social skills. Then came the screens. The illusion of connection. We handed our children tablets, computers, and cell phones. First, it was television. Then came Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat. Now, they stare at screens, endlessly scrolling through carefully curated moments of other people's lives. Maria once told me she caught her son texting a friend sitting right next to him. It was funny at the time. Now, it feels tragic. It's not just the kids. Adults have fallen into the same trap. I've watched couples sit at a restaurant, each absorbed in their phone, typing away instead of talking. I've seen entire families at dinner tables, more engaged with their notifications than with each other. We think we're connected, but we're more disconnected than ever. A society afraid of itself now. On top of it all, we have new fears: gun violence in schools, everyday street violence, even the teachers who were once our protectors. Some parents opt for homeschooling, fearing the dangers lurking beyond their front door. It's not that violence is new, it's just more. Or maybe it just feels more because we are constantly bombarded with it. The 24-hour news cycle, social media updates, and viral videos make every tragedy feel personal, every disaster feel imminent. But living in constant fear isn't living. Where do we go from here? So why do people feel a lack of companionship? Why do relationships feel so meaningless? Why is there so much isolation? Because we forgot how to be together. We forgot how to navigate the world with other human beings. We replaced organic socialization with structured interactions and screen-mediated conversations. We lost the art of spontaneous connection. We must return to human connections. It's hard, I know. Who do you trust? Where do you start? But as Alfred Lord Tennyson said, "'Tis better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all." Let me paraphrase, it's better to make a human connection than to live isolated and alone. I know this because when my friends, Robert, Maria, Lisa, call me just to talk, not text, not email, but call, it fills me with joy. When they stop by just to sit and chat, I feel whole again. As we get older, wealth, status, and achievements fade in importance. When it comes down to it, I've never heard of someone on their deathbed asking for their bank statements, their news clippings, or their trophies. No, what they long for is someone to be there, to hold their hand, to remind them they are loved. We can start small. Call someone instead of texting. Make time to visit an old friend. Put the phone away at dinner. Build a life that prioritizes people over devices, real conversations over online updates. Because at the end of the day, human connection is what truly matters. And if you think you don't need that, you're only fooling yourself. Relationships are hard. But they are everything.